Imagine reading just 15 pages every day. That doesn't sound like much, but after 1 year, you have read over 5,000 pages. That's around 16 to 18 books. Now, think about this. Most people spend an entire year scrolling thousands of posts they'll never remember, but you could spend that same year collecting ideas that stay with you for life. Because every great book leaves a small piece of itself inside your mind, and enough of those pieces eventually become a completely different version of you. In this video, I'll show you why reading is one of the highest return habits you can build, how it slowly changes the way you think, and why almost every successful person makes time for it. By the end of this video, you will never look at books the same way again. Before we begin, there's a quick challenge. For the next few minutes, you don't check your phone, don't open another tab, don't look at your notifications, just stay here. If you can give one thing your full attention, you're already training one of the most valuable skills in today's world. Now, let's begin. Most people think reading is about collecting information. It isn't. Information is everywhere. Your phone can answer almost any question in seconds. What books give you is something much more valuable: perspective. Every book is a lifetime compressed in a few hundred pages. Years of mistakes, years of lessons, years of victories, all distilled into something you can finish in a few days. That's incredible when you think about it. Instead of making every mistake yourself, you can learn from someone who already did. Instead of spending 20 years figuring something out, you can understand the principle in a single weekend. That's the real value of reading. You are not just reading words, you are experiencing another person's way of thinking, and over time, that changes your own. When I read biographies, I don't just learn what successful people achieved. I learn how they made decisions, how they handled failures, how they stayed focused. When I read philosophy, I don't just discover old ideas. I find better ways to deal with stress, uncertainty, and everyday problems. Every book adds another lens through which I can see the world. Little by little, my thinking improves, and that's something no short social media post can replace. Here's something fascinating. When you become deeply engaged in a story, your brain behaves as if you are experiencing parts of it yourself. You are not just observing, you are mentally participating. That's one reason stories stay with us for years. They create emotions, and emotion creates memory. Reading also asks something from you that most modern apps never do: patience. It trains you to slow down, to concentrate, to think instead of react. While endless scrolling rewards instant stimulation, books reward sustained attention. One builds distraction, the other builds depth. And in a world where attention is becoming increasingly rare, the ability to focus has become a competitive advantage. The more you read, the easier it becomes to understand complex ideas, to communicate clearly, to connect different concepts, to think independently instead of simply repeating what everyone else says. Those aren't just reading skills, they are life skills. Most people try to change their lives by changing their habits. Wake up earlier, exercise more, be more disciplined. Those things matter, but there's something even deeper: identity. Because your habits usually follow the person you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who never finishes anything, staying consistent becomes difficult. But if you genuinely believe you are someone who learns, who grows, who improves every day, your actions begins to match that identity. Reading helps create that shift, not overnight, not in 1 week, but slowly, one chapter at a time, one book at a time. You start asking better questions. You become calmer in difficult situations. You notice opportunities other people ignore. You make decisions differently. The change are so gradual that you barely notice them until one day you realize you are thinking in ways you never did before. That's the power of consistency. Small improvements repeated long enough become a completely different person. Looking back in 2017, I'm incredibly grateful that I picked up my first serious book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. At the time, it felt like such a small decision, but it completely changed the direction of my life. The ideas I share today, the way I solve problems, the way I approach work, much of it came from books. Not because one book changed everything, but because dozens of books each changed one small part of me. Those small changes eventually became a new mindset. Imagine where you will be 1 year from today. You could spend the next 12 months consuming content that disappears from your memory tomorrow, or you could spend those same 12 months building a library inside your mind. 10 pages, 15 pages, 20 pages. The exact number doesn't matter. Consistency does. Because every page is another investment in the person you are becoming. Books won't change your life in a single day, but they will absolutely change the person who lives it. And once that person changes, everything else begins to change too. If this video encouraged you to start reading or simply reminded you why you should keep going, let me know in the comments what book you are reading right now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more videos on self-improvement, mindset, and building a better life. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.